Literacy is the foundation of leadership. It's the tool that empowers individuals to rise, to lead, and to transform their world. This is Varda from Highflyers Magnet, and you are witnessing first Highflyers Global Literacy Leadership e-Symposium, where educational leaders from 6 different countries are addressing global literacy challenges and their solutions. While more than 100,000 global teachers are joining as participants, so if you are watching us, don't forget to mention your name and your country in the comment section. In this session, we are delighted to have Ms. Kalpana Chandran with us, who is a distinguished global consultant and transformative thought leader, renowned for founding the Quantum Leapers movement and her role with the Proctor Gallagher Institute, where she leverages elite performance strategies to break invisible barriers and catalyze visible breakthroughs. As an Amazon best-selling author and a recipient of numerous prestigious awards, including the Global Women Influence of Honor, she excels in leadership and executive coaching, empowering individuals and organizations to harness the power of mindset, data, and agile culture. Her work embodies a legacy of influence and dedication, making her a leading voice in transformational change worldwide. Our discussion today will revolve around global perspective of leadership and literacy, but before that, I would like to welcome her and pay my heartiest gratitude for joining us today. Hello, Ms. Kalpana, welcome aboard.
Thank you for your kind words. I'm honored to be here today, touching on a topic that is very close to my heart. I used to think, reading was something other kids were good at, until one teacher changed everything for me. That experience taught me something I've carried with me until today, that every human being has more potential than they realize. And when we learn how to unlock that potential, not only do our lives change, the world around us changes too. That's the belief why I founded Quantum Leapers, to help individuals and organizations make the mental shifts that turn possibilities into realities. It is also why I serve as consultant with the leadership giant, the Proctor Gallagher Institute, carrying forward Bob Proctor's legacy of teaching the science behind mindset. So people everywhere can step into the life and the leadership that they were born for. And as a founding member and expert with Playbook, the world's largest women's leadership network, I am part of a global community committed to reimagining leadership, especially for women. Because when we invest in women leaders, we don't just elevate individuals, we lift entire communities. So if you were to ask me, Wada, who am I today? I am someone who's driven by one cause, to help people see not just what they do, but who they can become, and inspire them to live, lead, and contribute from that place of possibility. So today I'm happy to answer any questions that you have for me.
And so many people must be very thankful to you for all your initiatives and for all the global influence that you are making. So, my first question will be, how can educational leaders in the UK effectively promote and sustain literacy initiatives within their institutions and communities, and what key strategies have proven successful?
Okay, what this question really is asking is simple. How do we make sure that kids don't just learn to read for a test, but keep reading for life? How do schools, parents, and communities come together so that literacy isn't just a program that fades after a year, but something that sticks, something that becomes part of who we are? Let's start by asking a very simple question. Why does literacy matter? Because when someone can read, they don't just decode the words, they unlock worlds. When I was in school, some kids struggled with reading, not because they couldn't, but because no one made them believe that it mattered. Then one teacher celebrated them for finishing just one small book. She made them feel like a hero, and that changed everything for them. Suddenly, reading wasn't a task anymore, it was a triumph. That one moment gave them ownership, and it made literacy theirs. So what we need to ask next is, how do we sustain literacy? The answer is not another policy document. It is not even another community or a committee. The answer is people. It is when teachers, parents, and leaders feel that literacy belongs to them. When it's not a program, but a cause, that's when it lasts. Just think about it. We protect what we feel is ours. We defend what we believe in. So if we make literacy part of who we are, not what we do, it becomes unshakable. So what are the strategies? Very simple. Build ownership. Celebrate every milestone. Make the child who reads their first book a hero in the community. Share their stories and inspire others. Because people don't commit to goals, they commit to a cause. And literacy, if we frame it as a cause that is worth fighting for, it'll never fade away. So if I could leave you with just 3 ideas to carry with you from this question, they would be this. Number 1, literacy is about people. It is not about policies. Number 2, celebrate and share small wins. And number 3, make literacy a cause, not a goal. So happy to answer your next question.
I'm so happy that even the first question was so insightful that I have started taking notes from it. And it was coming from actually someone who has been into the classroom and who's understood what are the real problems rather than just having a long list of documents that I produced this, I researched this. No, what I actually practically did for the kids. So that was really very inspiring for me. And I'm sure going to do this. All these three things I'm going to apply from now. So, what specific leadership approaches can be employed to enhance educational opportunities and outcomes for girls in the UK? And how can we address the persistent gender based disparities in literacy?
Okay, very good question. What this question is really asking is, how do we make sure girls don't just get the same chance to read and learn as boys, but actually feel that they belong in the story? What kind of leadership helps girls see role models, break down the barriers, and believe that that could be me? Now, have you ever wondered why focus on girls? Because when a girl learns to read, she doesn't just change her own life, she changes the lives of everyone around her. Let me tell you another story. A very close friend of mine grew up with a sister who was smarter than her, sharper than her. But she watched her doubt herself again and again because the world wasn't reflecting her potential back to her. She didn't see women leaders or writers who looked like her in the books that we read at school. And I will never forget the day she told me if her sister had seen someone like her on those pages, she would have raised her hand more. That is the cost of invisibility. You see, leadership is not about telling girls what to do. It's about showing them what is possible.
Correct.
Girls don't just need teachers. They need role models. They need to see women leading, writing, succeeding, and they need to believe that that could be me as well. And when disparities exist, let's stop asking, how do we help girls catch up? That's the wrong question. The right question is, what barriers are holding them back? Leadership means tearing down those barriers, tearing down those walls, the lack of access, the lack of safety, the lack of voice. Because when the walls come down, the potential comes rushing out. And here's the most important part. If we want equality in literacy, we don't start with the numbers. We start with the belief. Believe in every girl. Show her she belongs. Then watch what happens. And here is what really this question comes down to. 3 things we can't forget. Number 1, show girls they belong. Don't just tell them they can. Number 2, Remove barriers instead of focusing on the gaps. And number
Okay.
three, start with belief, not with the statistics. Happy to answer
That
your
was
next
really
question.
No, that was really thought provoking. That all of the time, even if I talk about myself, I'm always into stats. That what stats are saying, because considering myself a researcher and always trying to fill in the gap, that was really a new perspective for me. That we should put some vision into it, not just numbers. Not everything
Exactly.
can be calculated when it comes to something as big as leadership or literacy. So that was amazing, incredibly amazing. In what ways can school and educational organizations in the UK empower young people to lead literacy projects and advocate for literacy within their communities? And what support systems are essential for their success?
I love this question. What this question is really asking is, how do we stop treating young people as passive students and start trusting them as leaders? How can
Mhm.
schools give young people the chance to run projects, inspire their peers, and prove to themselves and to us that they can lead? Let me start with a simple question. Why trust young people with literacy? Because trust creates leaders. And when young
Mhm.
people are trusted, they rise to the occasion. When I was 16, a teacher gave me a responsibility to lead a small group of projects. Now, I had
Okay.
no idea what I was doing. I stumbled, I failed, I felt overwhelmed. But here's the thing, that teacher didn't step in. She just said, I trust you, figure it out. And I did. The experience being trusted even before I was ready was the first time I saw myself as a leader. And it stayed with me until today. So, young
And we
people,
can see.
exactly. So, young people don't need us to control them, they need us to trust them. Imagine
Perfect.
the difference. Imagine the difference being taught something as opposed to being believed in. One produces compliance, the other produces ownership. And schools can empower young people by saying three simple words. We trust you. Give them the space to start a project. Give them the platform to share their ideas. Give them a mentor to guide them. And then step back. Will they stumble? Of course they will. Will they fail? Probably. But failure is not the end of leadership, it's actually part of it. The support that young people need the most today is not money. It is not even technology. It is belief. It is adults who say, you can do this, and we will stand with you while you try. Because when we shift from controlling young people to trusting them, something remarkable happens. They stop being students of literacy, they start becoming champions of it. So, if you were to ask me what are the key takeaways from this question, three simple ones I will say. Number one, trust creates leaders. Control only creates compliance. Number two, failure is part of leadership. It is not the enemy of
Mhm.
it. And number three, the greatest support we can give isn't resources, it's belief. So happy to answer
That was
your next
so.
question.
Yeah, and I am just in some other world, because whenever our students are failing, we always start doubting ourselves that maybe we are not the right person for them, maybe we are not sufficient for them, maybe we haven't provided the sufficient resources. But as a teacher, we cannot just accept that obviously they will fail. And this answer
Exactly.
gave me this motivation that I need to see them failing in order to understand their own weaknesses and strengths, so that they will step out of it and they will shine in their own way. So this was
Exact,
really, again, very thought provoking.
exactly. Failure is not the end, it's just the beginning.
Yeah, this was really a food for thought for me, that it's just the beginning of leadership. So, just to conclude this very insightful talk, although I don't want to end it, like I'm willing to talk to you for hours and hours, because there's so much to learn. But still, obviously, we have to conclude it in some good way. So, what innovative approaches or technologies can be leveraged by educational leaders in the UK to improve literacy rates and foster a culture of reading and writing globally? Because we are talking about the global perspective, so how we can share resources and how we can impact globally.
Okay, great. So, what this question is really asking is how can we use new tools like apps, audiobooks, virtual libraries,
Hmm.
not just to raise the
Hmm.
scores, but to help kids everywhere feel that their words
Hmm.
matter? How do we use
Hmm.
technology to connect children across the world so literacy becomes more than just a skill, it becomes a shared culture?
Hmm.
So, let's start
Hmm.
by asking why innovation? Because the world has changed. And if we keep clinging on to old methods, we risk leaving millions behind. And I will never forget receiving my very first letter from overseas as a child from a pen pal miles and miles away. I held that envelope in my hands and thought, my words traveled across the world. That's one connection. That one connection taught me more about the power of words than any textbook ever could. Today,
Correct.
technology is just an amplifier of that same idea. It lets every child experience the wonder I felt that day, the realization that their story matters, and it can reach further than they ever imagined. So remember, technology is not the answer, it is the amplifier. The real answer lies in the reason behind the technology. You see, apps can make reading fun. AI can tailor lessons. Virtual libraries can reach even the remotest part of the world. But if the purpose is only to tick the boxes and raise the
Hmm.
scores, then we
Correct.
have missed the point. We have missed the point because the real purpose is connection. A child in Manchester who shares a story with a child in Mumbai, a teenager in Birmingham whose poem inspires someone in Lagos. That's the culture we are building, a culture of belonging through words. So here's the real challenge for leaders. Don't just ask, how do we improve literacy
Hmm.
rates? Instead, ask, how do we help every child see that their story matters to the world? Because when young people believe that their words have power, literacy is no longer a subject in school. It's a passport to humanity. So here's what it really comes down to for this question. Three things we can't forget. Number one, technology isn't the answer. It is the amplifier. Number
It's an
two,
amplifier. Yeah.
yes. Number two, the real purpose of innovation is connection, not scores. And number three, when children know their words matter, literacy becomes a passport to humanity. Over to you, Wada, before I share a few
That was
parting words.
really amazing because your talk is just full of food of thought and a long list of highlights that we need to ask ourselves daily, that are we only ticking the check boxes or are we making a real impact in the world? And I'm so thankful. This has been incredibly helpful, not for this global event, but for my own personal learning and my own personal practice as a teacher also. We are very hopeful and excited to practice these ideas to shape the future of education with your help. So thank you so much for being with us in first Highflyers Global Literacy Leadership e-Symposium. And I'm personally really thankful to you for being with us. And I can see why you are the women of global influence. Like, wow. Thank you so much, ma'am Kalpana.
Thank you. Now, before we finish, I just want to say a few parting words. Now, let's step back and ask, what have we really been talking about today? We have not just been talking about literacy, but the reason behind it. And why do we fight for literacy? Because number one, when someone can read, they unlock possibilities. Number two, when a
Right.
girl can read, she unlocks generations. Number three, when we trust young people with literacy, they unlock leadership. And number four, when words connect us, we unlock humanity. That's the real reason behind literacy. This isn't about
Right.
raising test scores or meeting targets,
Mm-hmm.
because those are merely goals and goals fade away. But fighting for a cause endures because people never rally around numbers. They always rally around belief. So here is the
Mm.
belief I want you to leave with today. Literacy is not just an academic skill. It's a human right,
Correct.
a human bond, and a human cause. And if we choose to see it that way, every leader, every teacher, every parent, every student says, this is ours to protect, then literacy won't just survive, it'll thrive. Because in the end, the words we teach our children today become the voices that shape our world tomorrow. And
Correct.
that is a
Yeah.
future that is worth fighting for. So thank you for having me
Correct.
today. It was a pleasure
Thank you
to
so
share
much.
my thoughts on a subject that is very close to my heart.
Thank you so much once again. It was really, really inspiring and really very practical approach towards literacy. And I believe the last thing you said that this is what we need in the world, and this is how we can make it a better place to live.
Exactly. You just have to change your perspective, change the lens that you are seeing the world in. And that's all. Go
Correct.
back to basics. We don't need anything fancy, no
Yeah, correct.
technology, no apps. Go back to basics. Thank you so much,
This is
Vada.
so good. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot. We'll meet you again in another session of Highflyers First Global Literacy Leadership e-Symposium. Signing out.
Apps, my pleasure. Thank you.